Dueling strategies for dueling candidates. Today in the New York Times, Democratic strategist James Carville and Republican Senator Lindsey Graham lay out what they see as the path to victory for their candidate at next week's debate and in the race overall. Carville tells Kamala Harris to help Trump hurt himself, writing, "If there's one thing Americans love, it's a train wreck. That's why we're addicted to Dance Moms and the Real Housewives franchise. This time, Mr. Trump must be the train wreck, and it's on Ms. Harris to lay the tracks." Graham, meantime, advises Donald Trump to focus on policy, not petty fights, writing, "The road to the White House runs through a vigorous policy debate, not an exchange of barbs." Joining me now, former communications director and spokesman for Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Michael Hardaway, and former Governor John Kasich is back with me. Michael, is it that simple for Harris? Just let Donald be Donald?
Yes, let him talk, please. We don't want the mics to be cut off at the debates.
But they're going to be.
That's true, but give him a microphone to let him ramble on about these very random things and aliens and spacecraft and all these things.
But he said that he doesn't ramble. Very few people can go off on 6 or 8 tangents and then bring them all back together.
Well, he's gaslighting us, as he should. But the reality is that he does ramble, and he can't articulate any policies. And so that is his biggest issue, even with his supporters, which is they don't really know what he stands for. He says one thing on Tuesday, another on Wednesday, and none of us really know what he's going to do.
Governor, on the flip side, while Harris points out, for example, correctly, inflation has come down, Graham says just point out that 5% annualized inflation, that's what you're dealing with. I mean, and you and I were talking about this a little bit just a few minutes ago. If the economy is, as a lot of people believe, ultimately about how voters feel and not statistics, then who has the advantage?
I think in that case, Trump has the advantage because people know what he did. They actually, whether it's all accurate or not, they feel as though things were better then. And so the key for her is to say, look, we have some problems. And these are the things that I want to do to try to resolve those problems. If Donald Trump sticks on issues, that's going to be good. But I think what Michael had to say is he capable of sticking on issues? You know, it seems like he gets bored when it comes to those kind of comparisons, so he wanders all over the place. If he does that, then he will not make his points. If I were him, I'd be saying to Harris, I'd say, well, where have you been for the last 3.5 years? If I'm her, I come back and I say, well, look, sir, you know, the fact of the matter was things were not as great as they were under you, and to have her statistics. But I believe at the end, I mean, part of it is style, part of it is personality, but the overwhelming issue, in my opinion, as it was in every election I've ever had, including running for governor, getting reelected, running for president, is who's going to do the better for you with your family. And that's going to be the interesting thing to watch. This is a huge deal. She is largely undefined right now. I mean, she's got a great wave of enthusiasm, has carried herself very well. But the question gets to be, when he starts boring in on specifics, how does she respond? If she responds really well, then she'll build more confidence, more support. If she doesn't, it plays to his advantage for sure.
Yeah, and you know, Michael, we don't really know how much people are going to tie her to Joe Biden's policies, right? Carville also writes in his op-ed, quote, "When a popular incumbent president is not on the ballot, we have a de facto change election." Of course, she's a sitting vice president, balancing, holding up their achievements, what they see as legitimate achievements, especially coming out of COVID, better signs in the economy in terms of jobs, in terms of a dropping rate. Why do you think that, or do you think that this is as tricky as some people say it is? Run on who she is, but also pick the things out of the Biden-Harris administration that worked.
This is very easy. Take the many successes of this administration and build on those things. And there is a list of successes there that she should talk about.
But I think to the governor's point, yeah, inflation's come way down. Mm-hmm. But it's still annualized. A lot of people are still feeling it. And again, whether it's true or not, some of the comparisons that people make when they talk to researchers, when they talk to reporters, aren't actually true. In fact, we all tend to view the past a little better than it actually was, right?
Yeah, it's true. But here's the thing. No one talks about inflation. They just say everything costs too much, which is why her plan to attack those costs is genius. And so the I word, that is what it is. She should talk about the fact that gas is too high and milk is too high and cereal is too high. She's already attacking the biggest issue of our time, which is affordable housing and a lack thereof. And so that's what she should talk about. Forget the word inflation. Let's talk about the things that cost too much.